Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all you beautiful people out there. It is a rather warm day here in Mumbai as I sit rather uncomfortably, hoping this air conditioning kicks in. But we have with us someone who's always cool. We have with us Chang from Malaysia. Chang, how you doing? As always, my ally in chief.
I'm doing very well here in Kuala Lumpur. It is very wet and windy today, which is quite unlike this time of the year, where it's usually very hot and humid. But it's a good change of pace, and I have to apologize to the viewers, whether you're watching this live right now on playback. I don't have my usual Spurs kits with me. I wasn't actually expecting to appear today. It's actually laundry day, so my regular long sleeve jerseys weren't with me here today. But I thought, you know what, since this is a rather improvised show compared to our regular Wednesday slot at 11 a.m. UK time, I thought I might try something different today, putting on a regional kit from Southeast Asia that rather coincidentally has a sponsor with my name. So this sponsor here, to anyone who's never seen the Evertonian home kit or their away kit, basically the Evertonian sponsor is actually Chang Beer. And this right here is actually a Thailand national football kit, complete with their national beer, which is Chang Beer. So I thought I'd try this on and see how today's show goes on.
No, no, everyone. Chang is lying to you. Chang is secretly a billionaire. He's just counting his millions and waiting to buy out Levy. uh, but let's see who's in the chat. Also, rich in his feelings for Spurs. We have Ben with us. Morning, evening, everyone. Yeah, Ben, I did see you on Tottenham on tour on playback, and let me tell you, I share some of your feelings. And then Ben saying Chang with the loudest shirt on the planet. Yeah, no, no, he's just like leaving little Easter eggs to reveal his true identity. He's like Batman, football fan one day, secret billionaire the next. Um, so yeah, everyone, if you need somebody to buy out Enoch, Chang is always available. um, but yeah, before we get into the game, because yeah, it's just going to be one of those miserable international breaks where we break down this one game for like forever, and it's going to be the most miserable international break of the planet. So I feel like we should only discuss the things that we can sort of move forward with, like productive discussions. There's no point having a discussion about how badly this person played or how badly that person played, simply because like it doesn't like take you anywhere. They all played badly. Like, let's just agree to that, you know um yeah before so let's sort of discuss the fallout. And a part of like the fallout is what Ben is talking about here. He's saying, telling you guys, I'm losing my love for Tottenham. It no longer gives me joy. My other hobbies actually make me happy. To some extent this is true. Like, every high in Spurs is accompanied immediately by a resultant low. We beat Man City, then we lose to Burnley. We beat Aston Villa, and then we lose to Fulham. And it feels like, regardless of the manager, it feels like you're like a little hamster on a wheel, just going at it. Da, 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 da. And like you're just like, who is the god controlling this cage? It just feels like this endless treadmill, and I just uh how do you feel about it, Chang?
I can only speak from my own personal experience of being a Spurs fan for the past 3 decades or so, since the early 90s. But as a Spurs fan, yes, we do have some rather rough patches along the way, to go with some rather beautiful, momentous, and memorable occasions. Whether it's the odd cup final or maybe a trophy every other decade before this decade. But for me, the single greatest joy of being a Spurs fan is just being able to support the crest, the shirt for which it stands for, and the players. Not so much the current hierarchy and the owners as such, because I feel that there is a limit to just how much your average fan is willing to fork out on a yearly basis, whether it's the jerseys we put on, the season ticket prices, your merchandising, the souvenirs that you pump out, based on our fandom or our love for the club. And this, for me, there is a line which I myself have drawn the past couple of years, ever since we sold the likes of Luka Modric and Gareth Bale, even Christian Eriksen too, to some extent, whereby I feel that I am willing to go along with whatever the club has in mind for us, so long as I have the means of that, or rather, I'm able to finance that without breaking the bank, my bank in this regard. So, with regards to our the way how we conduct ourselves in public, whether it's the season ticket prices or the concessions that are now being waived, or using the stadium as a revenue cash cow for whatever events or concerts. I have nothing to say about that, so long as that money is generated and put back into the club where it belongs, meaning investing in the right players, the right staff, the right the coaching staff, and also the managers. If that is done properly, I don't see why us fans should get behind the club. The problem is when you have uh, X amount of expenditure, or rather X level of income and revenue going into the club, and the success, or rather the lack of it, that is being translated on the football pitch, doesn't really justify the means by which we fans are paying almost through the nose out of our own pockets. That I feel is rather extortionate, almost in some way illegal, to take advantage of our fandom, our loyalty, and our love for the club. And it's kind of difficult also to want to get behind the players and the manager when we have results that don't really reflect that amount of investment. And there's a very good reason why there are many people who have been ENIC and Levy out for a good long time now. One of them, I believe, is in here in a chat with us. That's Mr. Ben Kaufman, as well as Mr. Eugene from Spursation TV. Welcome, boss. I hope you have a very good a good break to your fast, your Muslim fast, and to all the other Muslim viewers as well. Selamat berbuka puasa to each and every single one of you. But it is what it is. Supporting Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, as much as we loathe it, as much as we love it, as much as we have to take the good with the bad, the rough with the smooth, uh, the wins with the losses. We will just make do with what we have. And if there ever comes a time where we will tell ourselves enough is enough, and this is the line where we draw, and there is nothing more to a football club, then I will I won't be surprised if there are hardcore loyal fans who will gradually, not immediately, but gradually and slowly fall out of love with the club. And what Ben Kaufman says here is actually a sad reflection of that in this 21st century. Sorry to say.
Um, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with most of what you're saying, and I do have to say hi to a few people who've turned up. as Chang said, Eugene is here saying hi everyone. Big up, Levy out. Uh, consistent as usual, Eugene. I hope that I guess in your timing, your rosa should, we call it breaking of the fast. We call it rosa. Your rosa should be breaking soon. So hopefully, you're not hungry for much longer. And then Jordan is here, who's a Liverpool fan. So hi, Jordan. Nice to see you. And Daniel E is here. I'll come to the comment later. Daniel, I have to say hi to everyone. And then James, the Tottenham fans here. Hi, James. Uh, Hard to be one of those right now. And then Paul G is here saying good morning to you both. Good morning to you, Paul G. Um and then we have Supervisor in Chief, Sir L. Cockerell, in the house. Hi, Jose. How you doing? He's making sure that we do a right, good job. Um, and Yeah, so Daniel Lee is saying the fact that this club has not done a U-turn on the concession seriously, it's embarrassing. My supervisor in chief turned up, so I stopped reading the curse words. um, um, so do you so at the start of the season it felt a little bit, like those 10 games, it felt like we did a u-turn, right? Like things were on the up and up. Ange ball was a thing. The players seem, I think, in my opinion, very promising. And uh, it felt like things were going in the right direction. Like the recruitment is as well, I felt like our recruitment strategy was also changing. Like we were looking at young promising players across Europe. There was supposedly a focus on data driven recruitment, and we've gotten a bunch of players in based on that. uh, so, and in the summer, some of the players we got, I don't think they were data driven because we hadn't yet gotten in the current team with like Lang, whatever his name is. But It just felt like we were going the right direction. And, like in some way, do you think that that's true? Like what Daniel E is saying about, like that U turn, um, do you think that like we felt like that was what was happening this year? Do you still think that, or is this just one off loss, and we'll be right back on track after it?
Okay, so to answer the first question, which was posted here by Mr. Daniel E. with regards to the concessions, or rather the retraction of those concessions for the senior supporters, the senior fans who attend matches on a regular basis. For me, until there is actual data, there is actual, figurative proof from the accountants, whom I'm hoping are privy to an open account or an open accounting structure in which the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, as well as our representation on the board, can have a look for themselves as to how and why this retraction of the concession and the increase in the ticket prices is justified. Whether it's the current financial climate that we find ourselves in, or maybe it's the what was the term? It's not globalization. Uh, Inflation, yes, that's the word I was looking for. Whether it's inflation, uh, or maybe an increase in staff capacity or staff wages or even player wages, whatever the justification and reasoning for everything that Mr. Daniel E is saying, there has to be an investigation into it. It's not just raise the prices as you will at any given time, willy nilly, regardless of whom you are extorting these fees out from. I feel that the supporters' trust, as well as the fan representation on the directors' board, should have at least some access to the figures that the accountants are pumping out, just so that we fans can at least have some peace of mind as to what exactly it is that we are paying for. Otherwise, it's just in. in some utopia, it can be seen as a good thing, but this is not heaven. We are not, this is not all bits and road, all fun and games for us. And we, the working class, have our own lives to run, families to provide for. And if this club is a large part of our lives, whether it affects our happiness, our mood, the way we interact, the way we feel, just overall our vibes for the day or even the whole week, as is right now, I'm sure ruined for a lot of Spurs fans because of the very upsetting result over the weekend. We Spurs fans should be entitled at the very least to justification, uh, regardless if it's from Levy, Scottman, or whoever it is who's running the books, even Donna Cullen, for that matter, if she has any sort of a voice from the Tottenham board. We demand answers. At the very least, there should be a justification as to why prices are increased, why recessions have been taken back, and why, after so long, all these so-called investments and concerts and events that have been put out, why aren't we competing with the other big boys, seeing as we already crowned champions of FFP? This and a lot more should be coming from Daniel Levy and Inic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Accountability and transparency. It's the bare minimum you can ask for. Why is there a? Can you hear a echo? I feel like there's an echo.
Is it echo from my side?
I'm not sure, but it's fine now. It's fine now. Um, Anyway, wait. A small reminder for those of you who are watching or listening on X, please make a comment so we can share your thoughts. We know the numbers, like we'll know some of the numbers, but we won't know, uh, like if you're watching, what you feel or on all of that. So either like share a comment, or you can switch to YouTube as well to watch us there, just so that we know that you exist and that we can, send some love your way as well. And talking about love, Ben says, I love Tottenham, but Tottenham hates me. Um, yeah, I agree with this. It's a very sad reality in this world. There are a lot of, so I don't live in London. Obviously, I'm an international fan, but there is this, like everywhere across the world, there's this gentrification happening. And when you build the Tottenham Stadium and you build the surrounding areas in a particular way, what you're trying to do is exchange your existing fan base for a wealthier fan base, that comes from like a local area being gentrified. And so, and as Ben is pointing out here, the removal of concessions is purely to draw money out of our older, very wealthy fan base. So you just want to like focus on these people because you know that they have the money. So the focus can't be on the people who you won't get a lot of money from. And like that's the way the club is targeted. And uh, so fair enough, if someone can afford it and if someone is wealthy, I don't have a problem with the salmon, like the salmon patty brigade or like the prawn sandwich brigade getting money, giving money to the club. Yeah, by all means, if you're sitting in fancy boxes and eating like prawns while watching the game, go for it, give your money to the club. But like don't price out, in just in favor of these people, don't price out that regular fan who's uh out in the stadium constantly supporting their club, or anywhere on the streets watching their club. Don't price that fan out, because in the long term you'll regret it. And if you're really a smart businessman, you run the business not for short term gains but for long term sustainability. And so if some people truly believe that Levy is a good businessman, then there are lots of people who do. Then he should show that by focusing on long term sustainability. um so yeah, so Chang's having a few technical issues. but we'll get them sorted really quick. Till then, I'll read some of the other comments. Paul G is agreeing with Ben. And then Ben is saying, wealthiest fan base in the Premier League, if I have my facts correct. Levy doesn't want to charge the wealthiest fans less, he wants to milk them. So, Ben, my problem is not with milking the wealthy fans. My problem is that you're pricing out the regular ones. So, when there are more and more you're trying to sort of draw more and more from the wealthy fans. It should not be a zero sum game. Just because you're drawing from the wealthy fans, you should price out the poorer ones, and that's what it's becoming, that one loses out because the other is like, technically both lose out because one's losing their money and the other is losing their access to the club. But uh like, that whole process is really messed up. And then Paul G saying, loving the thigh top Chang with the two Changs on the top too. Yeah, it is. It is a great. It is a great jersey. I like it as well. And as I said, Jag is secretly a billionaire. He's gonna take over Enoch. He's just wearing the shirt to throw like a random Easter egg your way to make that. And then look, Eugene is saying our hierarchy doesn't take responsibility and accountability for their actions, so our players don't have to worry too much for their poor performances. Yeah, exactly. Accountability. I think at every level, accountability is important. And uh, over the past few years, we have been easy on managers and then held them very accountable by sacking them. But they're the only ones that have seen any accountability. The players certainly haven't. We've had people like Dyer and Davies in our club for ages, ages. And um, Chang is back. Talking about people we've had for long. And the board hasn't, the people who run the club haven't. So everybody apart from the manager, nobody apart from the manager is held accountable. And I'd like to see us end one season with the same manager we started the season with. Like, with Conte we couldn't do that, with Jose we couldn't do that. Let's forget about like Sterlini and Mason, they don't really count in this scenario. You know since Poch, we haven't had a manager who starts the season and ends the season. I Through performance, I'd just like to see that. I'd like to see us start and end the season with the same manager, just to begin with, like a bare minimum. Um, and then Ben saying he's pricing the younger fans and local fans out. How many people from Tottenham can actually go to Tottenham? Not many. Exactly what I'm saying, Ben. It's like gentrification. That it's so it's so unfortunate, and I can guarantee you in 10 years, if that stadium becomes a library, Levy will regret it. He will definitely regret it, because uh, possibly there are young fans who will not be converted to this club, because the magic will be lost. The magic of supporting Spurs is those wonderful moments that we have. Like, yes, we haven't won anything, but all of us have sort of like found those uh, moments in which we support Spurs, not because our parents supported Spurs, which they might have, but where we're like, no, this is my club. I like live, breathe, and die this club. Whether you've become a Spurs fan in this generation or whether you've been there for many generations, there is that pivotal moment as a child, right? Or as a young adult, where you just go, that's my club, that's my player, that's my manager, like the my word gets added to all these things. And so that magic cannot happen if there are no fans that enchant the stadium is not brick and mortar, it's the people that make it. um yeah, so if you're hearing some construction noise in the background, I apologize. My neighbor's having some work done. And Eugene is saying it's raining in Kuala Lumpur. That usually affects the internet connection. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to the monsoon here. The Mumbai monsoon is like the worst monsoon on the planet. It is so bad. It is like, so in the monsoon season, occasionally Mumbai has broken the record for the most number of rainfall in a day, single day in the world. Like that sort of thing. So we have terrible monsoons. I hate the rain, and you never feel properly like you're insulated from the, like the walls are wet, and the, like even there's seepage in the walls, and like build old buildings, and like everything smells musty. It's the worst. I hate the monsoon. um yeah, I can't wait to go back to Delhi. And Paul G is saying Tottenham is a deprived area, Ben, as you know, not so many, so not many. uh Most people from Tottenham support Arsenal. That's the disgraceful thing. Oh, that's really sad. Sorry to hear it's raining. Come to the UK. It rains 12 months of the year. At least you get sunshine. That is true, Paul G. I mean, my rain, it rains torrentially for 3 4 months, but at least at some point it stops and then there's the sun. Uh, y'all don't have that. And then Eugene is breaking his fast. Yay, Eugene. Thank you for tuning in while you were hungry. Glad to know you broke your fast. We call it rosa todna, but that's great. Mm, potato stew is saying my love for Spurs has not changed, but my patience with Levy is running thing. Yeah, I'm with potato stew. I'm kind of in the same place as him, where I'm, you know, it's very fortunate I've never been in a toxic relationship, because if I find something I love, I'm never letting it go. Like it's one of those things, I just, character wise, I'm like that. And so my patience for like Levy is running thin, my patience for the club runs thin, my patience during games runs thin when we don't do well. But uh the love for the club will always be there. And I think it's true for the people who say that they hate the club, like that they're starting to like fall out of love with the club as well, like Ben. Because I feel like you can only fall, like it's kind of like that toxic ex, right? You can never truly get over Spurs. Like it's one of those things you'll never truly get over. You'll always love this club even when you're hating on it. um so, and I hope that it never changes, at least for me. Like it's a big part of my life, it's a big part of my identity. So I'd like us to do well, but I don't want to like I never want to fall out of love with our club. And then Darren Lee saying, my patience runs out with Levy years ago. What are people still hoping for him to change? Seriously, really. You know what I want, Daniel Lee, weirdly? I don't hope for Levy to change. I feel like that's an impossible task. I'm looking at his age. He's 63, right? At some point, 64, something like that, right? At some point, he has to retire, right? Like there has to be, like at some point he'll be too old to run this club, right? I'm hoping at least that at some point his wife will just be like, listen, honey, it's time to like chill and like play golf. Like, and his children will be like, oh, you should spend more time with us or with your grandchildren. Weirdly, apparently his son is now running Joe Lewis's company, which has been uh, like, because Joe Lewis has legal troubles, his son is now one of the co-CEOs of Joe Lewis's company. But so it's really, really like incestuous there in terms of like funds and leadership positions, but whatever, rich people lives
Can
can
I
never.
very quickly just add something to what you're saying right now, Miss Ash? Before you do continue, I feel that I should say something with regards to the direction and also the leadership at the helm of our club. Whether it's under Levy or his son or Joe Lewis or Donald Cullen or whoever is going to take charge in future, this is where I feel that we as Spurs fans should be very, very careful with what we hope for or for what we wish for, because we never know what else, whom else is going to be taking charge once Levy steps down. It could be someone, hopefully, we would wish for someone to do better in terms of balancing the books and actually translating whatever we, the fans, are pumping into the club to on field and off field success. But that is just wishful thinking, because we never know whom is going to be taking over the reins once Levy steps down. It could be more of the same, which wouldn't be the worst possible thing to do, seeing as how we are buying the right players, or so I hope are the right players. Lucas Bergvall, Valise, Brennan Johnson to some extent, and also Vuskovic, whom we've yet to even see yet over at Hotspur Way. But it could also get a lot worse, a whole lot worse, which would be unbearable to us foreign fans, let alone those who are there
in N17, London, or even Britain to begin with. So, in this regard, I would say for the fans who are wishing for Levy out, Enoch out, and all that, we have to be very careful what we wish for. Of course, it's always wishful thinking for us fans to wish for better things, that the grass is greener on the other side, and that there are better things on the horizon. The moment Levy steps down and Enoch sells the club to maybe some rich Russian oligarch or some Saudi Arabian oil baron for that matter, we should count our blessings for now if we can. And maybe it's not all doom and gloom, but it's certainly not all rosy, put it this way.
Yeah. I feel like, Paulji, that Chang has kind of answered your question. Do you wanna, Chang? Is there anything else that you want to elaborate on with regards to Paulji's comment?
So this actually goes back earlier to what I was saying with regards to justifying the means, or rather justifying the increase in season ticket prices, and also the retraction of the concessions for senior fans, senior season ticket holders. There has to be accountability. There has to be some way us fans can see for our own selves what are the figures, what are the numbers, what are the actual accounting, book balancing, what do you call this, accountancy that goes on behind the scenes that we have no access to, but we hope in some minor form or way the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust and our fans representative on the board can have that access, and maybe give us some feedback as to what they have seen behind the scenes, and why prices are going up, why concessions are being retracted. Because until otherwise, Levy comes across as someone who is transparent, someone who is we hope not siphoning the funds for his own illegal, whatever means that he has, or rather whatever plans he has for those uh, gate revenues, the gate receipts, the profits that the club brings in. Until such time we see transparency, my thoughts on Levy is that he can be a good chairman if he knows how to translate those hiked ticket prices to success on the pitch. Unfortunately, that's not the case for like the past 2 decades and counting. And us fans can only be taken for granted for however long that we can tolerate, and until such time when it reaches the breaking point, or maybe in Mr. Ben Kaufman's his case, his breaking points, or the point of no return, where you just completely fall out of love with the club, and you just don't want to have anything to do with the club anymore, just because of the number of times we've been let down, we've been disappointed, and we have been betrayed almost time and time and time again. So, Daniel Levy, you have a lot to answer for, put it this way. If there ever was a better time for you to redeem yourself, this coming transfer window is last chance saloon for you. And me and Coover really got into it last Wednesday, just before our show together, Miss Ash, at 11 a.m., whereby we both of us fully agreed that this is the make or break summer transfer window that will really define this club, not only for next season but for many, many, many seasons to come.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, Gotta say hi to a few people. Kismat is here. Hiren, my friend from Mumbai Spurs. Hi Hiren, how you doing? You good? And the disabled team is here, saying good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to you. Um, and then Audio Artisan is here. Morning, Audio Artisan. Um, yeah. So Daniel is saying I was 11 years old when Levy became involved in this football club. I'm 33 now. Seriously, I'm supposed to wait another 20 years. So this is my question, right? Like in India, the retirement age is generally around 60. I assume, and like in England as well, I think it should be around that age for like most things. So I'm guessing, I mean, he's already past that, right? At some point they have to just be like, honey, let's take that golden handshake and your pension account and like chill at home some. Watch the Golden Girls. It'll be nice. um uh, Eugene is saying, I believe all football clubs should be owned by the fans. Yeah, like the German clubs. I think that's an excellent model. Jose is making a counterpoint that a great point is clubs outside of England are fan owned. However, the only drawback is they're not as wealthy as clubs in England. Um, yeah, but if someone could figure out a way of making that happen in England, I know that it's not the norm for English clubs to be fan owned, but I feel like it does put a lot of checks and balances. There has to be some accountability, and the accountability is clearly not coming from within, and it's just there's not enough transparency for it to come from outside. So if in that sort of scenario, um, maybe it makes sense to have to have some sort of fan voice within the running and functioning of the club, and that can only come with ownership, because no matter how much a owner promises fan voices, supporters, trust, all of that, unless there's a stake involved monetarily, no one listens to you. Like that's the way of the world right now, and there's not much you can do about it. Unless you're a stakeholder, a shareholder, you're not going to have any say in how the club functions.
That's a sad
Apart
reality, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Ben saying only an American would buy Tottenham due to the club's culture and history. Maybe not only an American, but yeah, I know what you're saying, because like it's hard for a Middle Eastern oil baron to buy a
Mm.
club that's had a traditionally large Jewish supporter base, for obvious political reasons that I'm not going to get into. Um,
This is
Danny, I
also what
don't
I
know.
was yeah, correct. This is also what I was speaking about earlier. As us Spurs fans, we should be careful what we wish for, because assuming, let's say, just for argument's sake, then Joe Louis and Enoch decide that it's about time for them to pull out from ownership of the club, and we are somehow or other transferred over the ownership of the club to the Glazers from America. Would we be much better off under the Glazers and their stewardship, as what they have done for Manchester United? However many years they were in power over at Manchester, or would we say be a lot worse off under, say, Ryan Reynolds, who is in charge of Wrexham right now?
Oh,
So
I love
these are,
them though. I love the
which
I
is
love the
which is why,
Wrexham story.
me too exactly, which is why I'm trying to draw these comparisons as to whom is the more viable option, or who is the more logical suitor to Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and the available uh, multinational conglomerates, or the billionaires who treat football franchises as nothing more than also just another cash cow. Uh, we have to be very, very careful for what we wish for. And until such time as there is sufficient proof that we are going in the right direction, I believe the discord among the fans, and also the disconnect between fans and the ownership, will only keep on increasing and keep growing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important. Like we can't like we have to be adults about this, right? We can't just be like, let's get rid of everything and burn it all down. If our club has to be sustainable, the people who come in have to be people who actually know how to run a club, or will hand it over to people who know how to run a club. Because our biggest criticism of Levy was that only, right? That he does the footballing decisions, but he should have no place in them, because he is not somebody who knows he's not an expert on football. He may know what financial dealings or whatever, but he's not like he should put someone in charge and not interfere, especially with things like transfers and stuff. I gotta say hi to Lee Stadham. uh hey Lee, how you doing? So Daniel is saying, it's not the make or break transfer window for Levy, as it for Levy, is it? I've heard this before, but yet still loathed by his BS. Yeah, I mean, there's a point to what Daniel is saying. We do this every year where we're like, this is the make or break season, and this is the make or break transfer window, and it feels much like before. But I will say also this, that I do think the summer window was a good window. I understand that Madison has not been performing well currently. He's come back from injury and he hasn't hit the ground running. But I do think Mickey Van der Ven was an excellent buy. Who else did we get in the summer? I feel like we got more people. Um, we
Vicario.
Yeah, oh, we
I'm
got
very sure we
Vicario.
signed
Yeah,
Vicario,
exactly.
right?
I thought Vicario was a great buy as well. So, I mean, it was a 50-50. We also made Kulu permanent. But based on his track record until then, that was possibly justified. And you never know what can happen to a player after that. So, these things, uh, like I would say, in that sense, that previous summer window was a fair enough window to say that he
Ashley
got.
Phillips as well. Don't forget about Ashley Phillips, who's away on loan at Blackburn
Yeah, but
Rovers.
we're not really sure what sort of buy Ashley Phillips was yet. Um, the disabled team saying the problem is with the big waiting list for season tickets. Levy won't be bothered. Weirdly disabled team. I've heard this from a bunch of people saying that even people who are like 40,000 and stuff on the list or whatever were being called up and asked if they wanted season tickets. And like I've seen this from many people on the internet writing, I was 37th something on the waiting list and I got called asking for season if I was interested in season tickets. So I'm actually not sure about this data, because it feels like a lot of people sign up for the waiting list, but the truth is not all of them end up buying season tickets. So I'm actually like, I would have to check I mean, obviously it's anecdotal accounts. I have nothing to. Yeah, Ben saying the same thing. The waiting list is a red herring. You have to go on the waiting list to become a member, and they're offering seasons to those 50K on the list. Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly what I was saying, Ben, because I've heard so many anecdotal accounts. Now, obviously, they're not been backed up by any stats, so I can't tell you for sure from like a legitimate source. But I do have a feeling like that is a red herring. Ben is right. Um, it sounds like Levy's trying to make much money out of as much money out of the fans. Yeah. Uh, Eugene is saying, I feel like this is Ambani. I'm not sure if I don't know if there's a billionaire called Amanbi, but I feel like this is Ambani. Um, Ambani, for those who don't know, is an Indian billionaire who recently had a really lavish wedding for his son. Um, I really don't think Ambani is going to buy a football. He has a lot of sports teams. He does. He has a lot of he has a few football teams in India, and he has a cricket team. So he does put some money into sports, but I really don't see him putting like, I don't know, $5 billion into Spurs.
If I
Uh,
could have one wish for a sporting franchise, or rather the owners of one sporting franchise from America, who owns a basketball club called the San Antonio Spurs. You've ever heard of San
yeah,
Antonio
yeah,
Spurs?
yeah.
If those owners were to somehow or other manage to buy over Spurs, imagine those owners owning both San Antonio Spurs and Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. That would be something.
Yeah, it'd be great branding exercise also, right? The Spurs family. um and the two fan bases can sort of like inherit each other. It would be funny. And they could still all say I'm a Spurs fan. Daniel Lee saying, I'll be real, I feel dejected as a Spurs fan. I think we got peddled a lot of BS to think those upstairs might change, and I'll be real, I can't pretend anymore. Yeah, and I know what you mean, Daniel. I understand I understand the depression. I really dejection. I really, really do. But like, it's for me, it's accompanied by a sense of powerlessness, in the sense that I feel like as an individual fan, none of us are able to sort of affect any change in how the club can run unless we sort of come together and make our voices heard as consumers, because we're being treated like consumers, right? The season ticket prices, the kits that we buy every year, all of these things. So it's a product. The Premier League is a product, Tottenham Hotspur is a product, we are the consumers. So we have to figure out as consumers how we are going to affect change. And I also wonder if we go on a small winning streak, we beat Luton, and maybe two or three other games here and there. Uh, what happens? Like, it's very easy to like lose steam in terms of asking for accountability and transparency, because all of these topics only seem to want to be discussed when we're losing. And when we're winning, it's really hard to bring them up, and understandably so, because everyone's on a high, everyone is like happy we're doing well. It's human nature to want to focus on the positive things. And I myself do that. I'm guilty of that. Like like after the Aston Villa game, for 4 days straight, I was just on a high, on like a huge high. So we all do that as Spurs fans. So it's hard to have these really hard conversations. And I feel like, for me, it's not a simple sort of position of Levy in or Levy out. I feel like the like fans have to get together across clubs, and there needs to be systemic change in how football fans are treated and approached by these giant corporations. They are giant corporations at the end of the day, right? So, and you see so many of us get treated dirty by these giant corporations, whether United fans, whether it's us, whether it's even the Arsenal fans, although they're currently happy with their ownership. Whether it's the Chelsea fans, whether it's like all of these fans, it is it stands for some a kind of way of thinking about the world and approaching business. And so as consumers, we have to be like, okay, no, this is not all right, it's getting out of hand, and this can't really continue. And the Premier League has apparently put in like a not the Premier League, but like there is a uh, what do you call it, like an overseer, like from outside, who what is, help me out, Ben, if you're still in the chat.
An educator and moderator.
Yeah, something like that, that's going to
Okay.
sort of like look at ticket prices and clubs and their functioning, etc. Who will be independent, like an independent overseer. So it's a step in the right direction, but we'll have to see how many teeth they have, like, is there any bite to it? um Going to support Deadpool FC. Yeah, Ryan Reynolds all the way. And Jishnu saying, good evening, guys. Good evening to you, Jishnu. And Jishnu, our resident scout. And then Daniel Lee is like, I don't think it was a great transfer window, losing an elite goal scorer and not even bringing in att- even attempting to bring in a proper goal scorer. I don't buy it. Yeah, but we did. To be fair, I agree with this actually to some extent. I was going to say, to be fair, we lost him on the last day, or like to the end of the transfer season, but we always knew he wanted to leave. So we should have been looking 2 years before. And this is exactly what I mean. It's not about transfer windows, it's about planning for like a 1 year plan. Like any business does this, right? They make a immediate short term 1 year plan, they make a 3 year plan, they make a 5 year plan. Like, that's how businesses function. So I would assume that we would also, if we're supposedly good businessmen. So yeah.
Yeah, can I just very quickly add to what Mr. Daniel E just said earlier about us wanting to replace a like for like goal scorer, elite goal scorer to at bat. The moment we lost Harry Kane just a day or two before the start of the new season, when you have someone like Big Ange who is not Premier League proven and he is barely known outside of say Scotland or Australia or even over in Japan, it's kind of difficult really to want to secure a big money marquee signing that can fill that Harry Kane void that Harry Kane left behind on such short notice and with no guaranteed Champions League football to add to make matters worse. So I feel that we are going in the right direction currently under Big Ange, and if the recently concluded January transfer window is anything to go by, when you have players like Dragushin and Lucas Bergvall choosing Spurs ahead of, say, Bayern Munich or Barcelona, that for me is a step in the right direction. But whether or not Daniel Levy then follows that up in a few months' time in the summer, either just before or just after or even during the Euros, remains to be seen. For me, the only way that that Daniel Levy can fully redeem himself to the likes of, say, Benjamin Kaufman or Brian Degil or Stelios or anyone who else who is a very Levy out with their with their mindset, with how they feel the ownership is going. Even Mr. Eugene as well, who's very much Levy out. The only way you can actually properly say, you know what, I've done wrong, and this is the time for me to make up for it. The one way out which I can see for Daniel Levy is if he somehow or rather miraculously and magically signs Harry Kane back from Bayern Munich. That for me is one way to go about it, although the chances of that happening are about, say, 1 in a billion. Given the way how Harry Kane is just scoring for fun over there in the Bundesliga, I doubt it he would want to come back to N17 anytime soon until he has maybe won everything that there is to win on offer over there in Germany, whether it's their domestic league cups, their Bundesliga title, maybe even an European trophy to boot as well. Until that happens, I can't see him coming back anytime soon, regardless of how much he feels that he is connected and one of our own. But every footballer has a dream, and for Harry Kane, that dream is very big, considering that you are the current England national skipper, which makes it all the more viable that you should be out there demanding more from your paymasters. And in Bayern Munich, I feel that he has the tools to fulfill that dream. Whether or not upon fulfilling that dream will he return to N17 remains to be seen. But this is the one big name which I can think of that will be able to fill that gap left behind when he left. There aren't many other elite strikers, put it this way, who would want to come over to N17. And even they do, there is no guaranteed formula for success, as we've seen with the likes of Roberto Soldado and Vincent Janssen, even loan signings like Carlos Vinicius to some extent. I can't see Robert Lewandowski coming to N17 from Barcelona, even though he's what, 34, 35 now, approaching 36. Uh, Karim Benzema is more than happy to stay in Saudi Arabia. So maybe the best possible option will be something like a Jimenez or what's his name from Celtic? Uh, oh my goodness, his name has slipped my mind. Uh, what
Jota, like the old Celtic player, like now he's in Saudi. That one, Jota.
Celtic Wanderers. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get pelters for this for forgetting his name. His name will come to me, people. He's that former striker with which Big Ange worked with when
Jota,
he
right?
was yeah, that's right, Jota. That's the one,
Yeah,
Jota.
that's
Yep,
right.
Jota. That's him. So these are the only elite strikers that would willingly come over to fill that hurricane void that Hurricane left behind.
Yeah. Um, Bonjour, Ash and Senior Chang. We have Lee Smithy Smith in the house. And since it's evening here, I will say bonsoir back to you, Lee Smithy Smith. Um, Lee Smithy Smith is also saying hi, morning to Jose. And then Jishnu saying 99 pace, 31 finishing. Guess the player. I feel like this would be Timo Werner. My instant reaction is Timo Werner. Uh, but what do you all say? Everyone guess the player. Um,
Marcus Rashford.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a fair shout. Although last season he did get a bunch of goals. He did, I think. Um, Disabled team is saying, I know you, Brian and Stella were a massive part of the Levy out protest. Do you think there's more Levy out after the 6% price rise and the elderly concessions? Um, yeah, I'd like to know as well. Lee Richards is saying, I don't know much about owners of Antonio Spurs, but no US hedge fund managers or people connected to the Middle East buying this club, please. We Spurs fans have got morals. Um, yeah, this is exactly what Chang and I was saying, that we can't just like burn it all down to the ground just because we want Levy out. We have to find the right sorts of owners that will progress the club. There's no point being stuck in another toxic relationship with another kind of owner that we don't like. So I think that eh, as Spurs fans, maybe we should do a little bit of scouting of our own and then tempt those people to take up Tottenham Hotspur, which is now the richest club in London, apparently. So that seems like a good proposition. And it's only growing. Its international fan base is growing. Like people like Hiren here and me and Jishnu and Chang. I don't think that we don't live in England, but we support the club. So slowly, it's becoming one of those really international clubs. So it's only going to get better from here. So that seems like an exciting proposition. So Spurs fans, go trouble all the billionaires on Twitter. Um, uh, and then Eugene is saying the greed of the EPL. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it has to be a systemic change. And like Ben corrected me saying that is that yeah, the independent regulators only to keep clubs sustainable. It has nothing to do with ticket prices, concessions, etc. Yeah, but in an ideal world, it should be that, because what is the point of an independent regulator if the independence is not to protect consumer rights? The point of independent account, like independent regulation and audits and all of these things, is to make sure that there are no unsavory practices, no unfair practices, and that you're protecting the rights of the consumers who use your product, right? That's what independent regulation comes down to. Chang?
Isn't that the primary function of the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, or what it's supposed to stand for? Protecting the rights of the fans as well as looking out for the fans' best interests, and how much we invest our time, our salaries, our wages into the club.
Yeah, I mean, ideally it should be, but like clearly they have proven that uh like it's like I said, right? Unless money is involved, you don't have a say. And the only people who have a say without money being involved is the government, because this the state can is responsible for making laws and regulations. And so uh governments can, despite not having the money that controls that corporation, can make rules that control those corporations. They do that with everything, right? From up like regulation labels on packages to like um quality control testing to anything. I'm sure in construction, you're in construction, you probably have like 400,000 regulations that you have to follow, that the government has put into place, in terms of spaces, areas, materials. So like you understand how government regulation works. They're the only people who have the power to affect change without money. And then Ben saying we never got more than 100 people at a protest. Tottenham fans are spineless. Tottenham fans will not mobilize like Liverpool, Arsenal, United, etc. Um, yeah, I agree with this, Ben, but I also feel like it's a messaging issue. Like I feel like in a protest, there's always, like with any protest, there are always different types of people who want different things, who collect together, um or like with any cause. And the problem is that to get all those people together, there's also some amount of sort of like practical messaging that goes into it. So I feel like sometimes these things just need to be sort of communicated better. I feel like Brian and you do an amazing job at that. Amazing job, like amazing job. You're so accessible to people who may not share the same position as you. And it's like a slow sort of build up. If you're uh like, especially with Brian, like the way he puts his case forward is so sort of measured, and it's not argumentative or accusatory. It's just wonderful the way he does it. But There are a lot of Levy out people who who sometimes are just, they're just uh, it, you know, you have to carry everyone with you. A movement is not made by one person. Like, this is something, like, because I come from a country of movements. Like, we got our independence through like Mahatma Gandhi's non-violence movement and stuff. So like, the one thing we've sort of learned in history is that movements are not made by everyone just collecting together. You have to convert people, you have to bring them on board, and everyone has to be welcomed and feel like they're part of that community. And um uh, so that's some, it takes a lot of work and it happens over a lot of years. And I feel like you and Brian have done a commendable job already. I hope that you continue to do so and you put a lot of effort into it, because clearly all Spurs fans want the same thing. We all want our club to do well, we all want to win trophies, and we all want to achieve greater things. We're clearly a rich club, but we'd also like to be a big club, it's not the same. There is a difference between the two things.
But
um
what we as fans, we must also remember that Rome wasn't built in a day, and
yeah,
this sort of a rebuild takes time. Although maybe in the case of Daniel Levy and Enoch, that time has long past due for us, long time sufferers of this glorious football club and its supposed glory days of old. So, I mean, we will still go along for the ride for now. If the current climate and our current league position is anything to go by, but mark my words, the moment things get ugly, the moment our positions or our performance turns sour, the fans will very quickly turn on Big Ange, turn on Daniel Levy, even some players as well.
yeah, yeah, exactly. um Daniel saying in the summer we could still have gone for a player like Watkins. I'm sorry, I'm not buying because Ange is not managing England. We can't find a decent striker. Yeah, I feel like if Spurs came knocking, we should be able to find at least, maybe we won't get like the elite of elites, but we should get that second ranked player. We should be able to get them. Kane will never return to Tottenham. Yeah, I agree with this. We didn't even let him collect his stuff and say goodbye to the staff. You'll never see him again. Yeah, I agree with this. It was the way it happened. Like Daniel Levy, like I don't know if it's Daniel Levy or whoever it was. I don't like pettiness, Like professional relationships are important. When I leave, I have quit many jobs, right? But I have always parted on amicable, mostly parted with amicable terms with my employer, because that's part of a professional relationship, right? You send in a resignation letter, you give a notice, you're left, and like you collect your stuff, you give in your keys, whatever, desk keys and shit. Like that's how
Basically,
it
you're
works.
living on good terms.
Yeah, you leave on good terms, you always do that. And then we have Leo's here. Hey Leo, come on, invite.
Hi, Leo.
Hi
Hi, Leo.
Leo. um yeah, I'm not saying any striker. I'm just saying go and get me someone who's more proven than than Willies. And have this fan base gassed up saying he plays similar to Bautista. Yeah, I agree with this. Like that feels a bit like gaslighting. Lee Smith saying, I'm impressed with your friend, Mademoiselle Ash. I actually speak a little bit of French, Lee. Um, and then the disabled team saying, what about all the Spurs YouTubers getting together? Tottenham will have people watching the social media channels. Yeah, Ben, I
La
feel like that's a
Familia.
great
La
idea.
Familia.
Yeah, like just have like this mega fiesta, 24-hour Levy out online protest, and like share the link, because uh not online protest, but like have the protest be sort of hybrid, where it's like on the streets but also in everyone's rooms, and like put all the Spurs YouTubers on it and have them sort of use their platform for something good. There's a lot we can do. um and then Ben saying, more chance of my family having dinner without an argument. We don't agree on anything. Oh, that's hilarious. um That's hilarious. Yeah, but like I commend Ben for trying. I do really commend him. Uh yeah. Oh, we have Mia in the house. Hey Mia, how you doing? Are you all good? Um, Sorry, Ash and Chang, I woke up in one of these moods today. Hey, didn't we all, Daniel? Didn't we all? Um, it's just it's very hard to sort of keep yourself going when you're losing 3-0 to Fulham, and things don't seem quite right. And it's not the one off defeat. Like, it's really not. Everyone is saying that, oh, these people, they only come out and criticize when it's the one off defeat. The truth is that there is a pattern, like the fact that we can beat Man City and then lose to Burnley, we can beat Aston Villa and we lose to Fulham. It's just very representative of a mentality and a pattern and a way of functioning. It's not about just losing to Fulham. We always worked this way. Sun wasn't that well known. Vicario wasn't that well known. Benko, Romero, Sarudoji. I can keep going on. Yeah, I agree with this, but it has to be good scouting. It can't be. There are people who are not well known, who don't do that well, who we've gotten in the past. We've had so many people that initially showed promise but didn't work out. Mora, Lamella, Bergwijn. There have been so many of these people who've not worked out in the past. We have to be, if we're recruiting young promising talent, it has to be done with some vision, and I do think that we are starting to show that to some extent, but I still feel we can do better. We definitely can do better. um oh yeah, this is to Mia. I think this is a good approach. Buy good cheap players and train them to our style of play. Yeah, I don't have a problem with the approach, and I hope that it continues. What happens, Hiren, is that every we lose a few games, it'll be Ange out, Ange will be fired, and then we will find a new manager, and he'll want a new type of system, and he'll be like, no, I want Premier League proven players, and I want a different strategy, and all over again, there's a club overhaul and there's no consistency. And this happens a lot when there are like this sort of recurring pattern of where our only solution to problems is sack the manager, is producing this sort of system where we're not sustainable as a club, not as a financial institution, but as a club, as a football club. um yeah, leaving out as a minority, there's a large person sitting on the fence. um I wouldn't say. I feel like, you know, Eugene, that they all want the same things. It's the way you're sort of, yeah. It's this. Brian's latest video was emotional. Advise all Tottenham fans to watch that. Um. Uh. Yeah, exactly. The way Brian put it in his latest video, that's an amazing way to sort of put it. And then Potato Stew is saying spineless counter opinion. Maybe don't agree. Um. Um. So wait, are you countering Ben, who called Spurs fans spineless? Yeah, I don't think Spurs fans are spineless either. I think that you gotta take everyone along. It has to be a team effort, and instead of fighting within amongst ourselves, we have to sort of get, like, solidarities have to be created if we want our club to do well. And that doesn't have to be like, oh, we love each other all, but it like kumbaya, my lord. But it can be something productive that moves the club forward. Yeah, unfortunately, Mia, we're not having a show tomorrow because I have to go for a wedding. One of my my two closest friends are getting married, and congratulations to them. I'm really, that also has put me in a bad mood. Maybe the show is is doing so badly because I'm in a bad mood. Because weddings are the most stressful thing on the planet. Like, I've reached that age where every old auntie will come up to me and be like, "Do you want me to set you up? Why are you not married yet?" And or they'll just be like, "Oh, you've lost weight, or you put on weight, or you don't look this way. I don't like what you're wearing." Um, so yeah, I have to like hide from all the aunties. So
Can,
I'm a little scared.
can I just very quickly add something to what you said about weddings and how you're feeling right now? I have to share this with whomever who watched me and you during the live watch along for the Fulham away game together with Mr. Eugene and Senor Garcia and Mr. Severs over on Talk and Ball, Elsa Cocorel and Spurs Vision TV. On Saturday, I actually attended my youngest brother's wedding here in Kuala Lumpur, and he's the youngest sibling and the last of my siblings to get married. And that day started off fantastically well for me. It was a very tiring day, make no mistake about it. I spent something like 8 hours driving to and fro just for that wedding. So when the time came for us to do the watch along, it was already past midnight, but I managed to get home. I managed to put both my daughters to sleep. And once my wife went to bed herself, I then started doing the watch along from about 1 a.m. onwards on a Sunday. And I was feeling very optimistic. You know, my youngest brother just got married. I made it back without any hitch. And I was really looking to the game, forward to the game. And the game played out the way it did. First half, I felt that maybe we could salvage something from it. I thought maybe Big Ange would, you know, do what I felt he should have done, which was to shift Kulusevski from right midfield or from right wing to midfield and take either one of Pepe Matassar or Bissouma out because neither of them were working. So maybe Timo Werner could come in a lot sooner and affect change the same way he did at home against Crystal Palace. That didn't happen. And then I can't remember who it was who came on and he completely ruined the atmosphere. You know who that is. I'm not going to mention him, but the watch along ended up to be some very heated and a feisty debate, and it was close to like 3 a.m. or even beyond 3 a.m. For like the past half an hour, and I was just constantly doing this. I was just doing this. I was just nodding off. I was just shaking my head. And my face, my screen was like the biggest of all our screens. And I was looking at it. I was trying to tell Colin, put me off, put me to one side, or rather take the attention away from me. I was so embarrassed. I felt so bad for the people who were doing the watch along with us. I felt so bad for the people who were on the watch along in the same screen as us as well. So I hope that never has to ever come to pass again because if if this sort of watch alongs that we have to. I mean, I tried with I try to put out a very optimistic, a very jovial, very easygoing and happy fan. But when things like this do come along and when things aren't really going our way in terms of the on the pitch results, that we have to somehow try to work our way around what is going on, it makes it all that much harder when it's when we have extra guests who weren't originally part of the watch along, but they then come in and really make things
Yeah.
rather unsavory. So for each and every single one of you who came along for that ride, uh, thousand apologies to each and every single one of you.
Yeah, and if anyone hasn't seen the final parts of our watch along, you might find it interesting. And if you want to go see me lose my shit, um, yeah, everyone's talking to each other. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Issue is Ash that the players look like they didn't care against Fulham. I can accept losing, seen us lose plenty of times over the years, but I can't accept any players in Spurs shirt not trying. Yeah, this is true. I feel like it's it's that I don't know what it is. There's this special place in hell that I feel like after we have a big victory, like when we beat United 6-1, when we beat City, when we beat Aston Villa, when we beat Newcastle as well earlier in the season. After a big victory, I'm just waiting for like the fallout. Uh, and it's just I've somehow now as an older Spurs fan, I've sort of accepted it. Older, I'm saying in reference to like people like Hiren who are babies. I love him, but
Mm.
he's very very young. That we've taken uh, like we've gotten used to it so much that it feels almost normal to do that, and that's something we should never normalize. Lee is absolutely right. We should constantly be questioning and holding their feet to the fire because they get paid a lot of money. Jishnu was asking, what's your take on, I don't know who this is. Is it
I have no idea who this is either.
is um is this Kulusevski by any chance? Maybe. Anyway, Jishnu, do tell us who it is. Kismat saying that's the problem when we turn on our manager too quickly. Just give him a few years, and you can't expect an immediate result. It's not FIFA. We need to rebuild, and will take time. Absolutely, Hiren, you're absolutely right. We need to put in one manager. We need to put our faith in that one manager. But uh, the only way to hold that manager and the management accountable for that manager's success. Like with Poch, right? Poch, for all intents and purposes, we had the right players, we had the right ingredients, right? We had an amazing first 11, we had a good manager who was gaining us points. Um, we had we had enough in terms of money to take us to that promised land in terms of a trophy. Well, what that trophy would have been, we don't know, but we could have won something. We reached a few semi-finals, we reached a final in the Champions League. So what was missing? What was missing was that final ingredient, which is that everybody pulls in the same direction. The transfers, the management, the bench players, the players on the pitch, the manager, the under 21s. Everyone is pulling in the same direction. That's what gets you over the line. And that's what Liverpool have, for example. So that's why the youngsters can be put into a team and like perform in a FA Cup semi-final, or sorry, a League Cup semi-final, because they've, for the last 7 or 8 years, they've all pulled in the same direction. The first team and the under 21s and the under 18s, they've all been training under the same system with the same like, yeah. Chang.
I'd just like to ask the chat and the people who are watching right now a very quick yes or no question. Basically, I just want to gauge how everyone feels about Pochettino's sacking back in 2019. Five
Oh,
years
no, 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 no,
later,
no, 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 Chang. Can
no,
we,
don't.
we will
Oh,
go
okay, all
into
right,
it.
okay, all
I
right,
have like, I don't feel like 15 minutes would cover that. And I have to go because I have to take a flight for my friend's wedding.
okay, all right, fine. Maybe
So,
some other time then. Some other
yeah,
time.
next show we'll do, we might do like a pot show. Who knows? What's your take on Kulu's recent form? Should he be moved to wing back roles? Um, Yeah, the thing about Kulu's recent form is that, I've always been a fan of Kulu's. I was one of those people who stood up for him. I think that, I still think actually that there's a player in there. And all of the things that I praised Kulu for, and I said that there are a lot of intangibles to his game, his hold up play, the way he helps with defense, with Poro, all of these things, they add his running, his working. And in that letter that he released recently to the fans, he was saying that he tries to just work as hard as possible every game. And I appreciated that, because I feel like in a lot of games I do see that. But yesterday's game, it was those in yesterday's I'm saying the previous game, it was those intangibles that I couldn't see. So I don't have a problem with the fact that he didn't score. My problem with Kulu is the fact that all those things that I say that he does for the team that help as a general 11, those were missing from his game. His helping Poro out defensively, his outlet in and hold up play, all of those things, that's what was missing. And if Kulu is not providing that, then there's a problem. So I would suggest benching him. It worked for, I mean, arguably it worked for Brennan Johnson. I would suggest benching him, let him play his way back into the team. He is our player now, so either we'll have to decide in the summer whether we want him to be our player. But clearly, Ange has faith in him, so maybe bench him and bring him on. Um, Chang, Kulu.
Oh,
Oh,
okay. Oh,
and
sorry. Kulusevski. All right. So, with regards to Kulusevski, yeah, I feel that, but I mean, put it this way, Big Ange really has a lot to answer for over the weekend, and part of those, or rather, a group of those players that were very accountable for that horrendous showing at Craven Cottage. One of those players is Kulusevski, and whether or not he can be held accountable by being dropped, or even uh, getting some bench time in the upcoming matches. That is up to Big Ange to make that decision. But as far as I'm concerned, Kulusevski still has a lot to offer for the club and the squad as a whole. There is a lot to his game that we still haven't seen yet. Although whether or not he will be best suited out wide or in the midfield, that also remains to be seen. For me, I would still give Kulusevski time because he's still coming to grips with Big Ange and his Ange ball system. Only time will tell whether or not Kulusevski will go down as a good player, a decent player, or a so-so ill-fitted player for the club. But until such time, as when he's moved on, I will still give players like Kulusevski my full support on and off the pitch.
yeah, yeah. Obviously, every Spurs player, as long as they wear the badge, they should give 100%, and we should support them 100%. And Lee saying it's a privilege to play for Spurs, and we have the best fans in the world. Don't want anyone in the club who isn't willing to give everything on the pitch. Yeah, I agree with Lee. I think that we do have amazing fans. At least the community I have found with my support through Spurs, they've all been amazing, and I'd like to think most Spurs fans are like that. um, and I hope that the team reflects our affection for it, and our energy towards it. Oh, and yes, everyone, this is my final thought for the day. I think let's not forget the ladies on the road to a cup. Um, on I think it's on the 15th or 14th of April. We play Leicester in the semi final of the
At home.
Adobe FA Cup. Please, I hate the word FA Cup. Um, so everyone, just please tune in for that game and throw your entire support behind the Spurs ladies. They're having an amazing season. Rob Willihan is an amazing manager. He's taken a near relegation Spurs team and made it into like a class act. And I only think he's going to build from here. He's an amazing manager. They're an amazing group of girls. I just everyone throw your support behind them so that we're on the road to Wembley, that we play that final and we win a freaking trophy. Um, so yeah, we have Daniel joining us. Good travel. Ash, one love. One love to you as well, Daniel. So yeah, everyone, we could be winning a trophy this season, just not the trophies you thought we would win. So put your support behind the women. Um, uh, Looking forward to discussing Chang's Poch question another time. Have a great wedding, Ash. Yeah, you as well. Have a great day, Lee. I feel like I agreed with you on a lot of what you were saying in the chat today. So yeah, we're on the same frequency. Chang, where can we find you next?
So I believe me and Mr. Eugene are trying to work out something to do over the weekend. Although it's going to be a Spursless weekend, we might just do a show in the next few days, preferably before the weekend, if the time suits him. But of course, because this is the fasting month, there will be some tweaks along the way. But yeah, me and Mr. Eugene, we are going to do something over in Spursation TV. And also, I would be returning next Monday at noon on Kate and Jimbo's Just a Girl Who Loves Spurs. Of course, there aren't going to be any Premier League weekend matches, so we might do an international roundup or maybe just a season review. Thus far, with 10 league games to go for Spurs, so we might do something like that. But those are the upcoming shows that I have on YouTube. Back to you, Miss Ash.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad I have to go for this wedding. I don't have to talk about Spurs for a while. That it's hard to find things to talk about during international break. But everyone, do remember that we have the members. show with Colin at 3 GMT today. So if you want to have your say, levy out, not levy out, fences, bristles in your bum, whatever it is, um, however it is you're feeling, um, make sure 3 p.m. GMT. Tune in. It'll be fun. Colin will be there. Maybe Jose as well. I'm not sure, but whoever's there, it'll be a party. So uh, I look forward to that. And as usual, we play you out with the James Madison song. So come on, you Spurs.
Come on,
My team has got James Madison. James Madison is what we need. Whoa, thank God we got James Madison. This kid plays ball like you would never believe. Whoa.